Hey guys, fashionably late by only 6 minutes this time. That is a new record, I think.
Yeah.
But Rocky and Joanne and Mac, hope you guys are doing well. Catfish is here,
He's here. He's late.
and he doesn't know how long rain and wind is firing up there. Where Bobby is, they're under threat of severe weather as well as tornadoes. So, Alex, if you want to go ahead and bring that up now, with Catfish here, he may have some insight to that question.
I do. So, Bobby, since you're on and you had some ties to law enforcement and stuff that you did in your past, I was discussing with the group before we went on, and tonight while I was cooking dinner, I was watching a show on TV that was basically some people that went missing. They were looking for their car, and they eventually were found. The car was eventually found burnt. So my question is if you might know, before the internet, so we're talking like pre-94, 95, when the internet really took off, what was like protocol, or how did police departments get out any kind of messages when a person went missing or they were looking for a car? And actually, this goes to anybody in the audience, anybody that's watching this. Joanne, she might know from her stuff that she's dealt with in her family. Mac Randall Jr., he might have some ideas. Rocky Balboa might. Anybody that might be watching. But what was the typical standard protocol, or what did they use to get messages besides getting on a radio or making telephone calls? What did they do when they needed to get a message out where it could go across states? I mean, did they actually get on the phone and call every single police department in every single county, parish, whatever it was called, state to state? Does anybody know what they did in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s? Because we know for a fact that record keeping with missing people and stuff like that was greatly different. I think from the 50s and 60s and older was just way different. I don't think they did near the record keeping, the efforts that they do now. But just, leading from one thing to the next, what did they possibly do? Does anybody know the answers? And go.
Yeah, like I said earlier, if my grandpa was still alive, he would know.
Yeah. And, okay.
All right, Bobby said first cell phones came out in 88. We had radios that we had to call into the chief or on certain cases, sorry.
Okay. But I guess taking it further than that is, if all of us are in our police department and we have someone go missing and we think that they are headed east down I-70, but we don't know if they're going to make it through Missouri to Illinois, so on and so forth, because my example is I know back in the police stations, they had these giant printers or something. I keep thinking teletype or teleprompt or something, because even on TV, you would see something being printed out and they would like rip it off and then they would discuss it and talk about it. So I guess that's what I'm kind of wondering in a way.
Teletype.
Because I guess the teletype word sounds like what it was, but was the teletype, was it on a federal level was it a state level? Exactly how did it work?
Yes, maybe in a way. What Bobby said.
Because I guess if we had Jane Doe who went missing out of Leavenworth, Kansas, and 3 days later, we don't know if they're on the run, they are somewhere local. If there was the communication of sharing, the communicative way of sharing information back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, how would they know if this person had drove to Arizona or had drove to New York? How would they ever get that information across? And if the police had found this car, what would be their way of running tags and information back then besides just making general phone calls, I guess, in a way? I guess I'm just trying to understand how they would have done things back in the day on a communication level to get stuff across to other, police departments and stuff. And I'm not talking just one county over or two counties over. I'm talking across the state, another state, something like that.
Now, teletype or a teleprinter is an electromechanical device resembling a typewriter used to send and receive typed messages over communication channels, often telegraph lines or telephone lines. So that's something that was used even with the telegraph too.
I bet someone would put it in a case somewhere, and it went everywhere. I bet.
Well, that's what I understand, because I think if it wasn't federal level, but I would think if it was on a federal level, it would be running nonstop because it would be linked to all the different states.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm just trying to understand. I guess in a way, let's think of the TV 8 hours, the show where they deal with murder stuff, the 48 hours, and they're like, within the first 48 hours, it doesn't get solved. It will drag out forever and ever, and a year and years, because they can't get the information in the first 48 hours and they can't get it solved, then the chances are greatly diminished.
Max comment there. I know that. I remember seeing something like the teletype on the TV show In the Heat of the Night. I remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
Oh, Tamara's back. Her pizza rolls must have been done.
Yeah, we'll have to look.
So, it's just, I guess it's not silly. It's just me trying, when we look at some of our cases that are older cases, and not all older cases don't get any social media time by any means, but some of them, they get nothing. And it's just, I think back and I'm thinking, well, what if this case where this person went missing in 1975, what if they went missing in 2025? Would the chances of them being found, being saved before something terrible would have happened, would the chances of technology and all that, how much does it greatly play in it? Which I would believe now it would play such a significant role. And versus, back in the day, what's the chances that anything would have happened in a timely manner because of technology that they had. So
now, according to Wikipedia, teletype connected local, state, and federal agencies.
okay.
Yep, it was all connected to one.
Okay.
So
That's awesome.
I never knew that, how they done that.
right.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Oh wow.
Let's see Bobby here. I'm just catching up here reading all these messages. Bobby was writing a book. Interesting. Well, Bobby, I think someday, if we can get you to come on live, I mean, you are one of the people like with, Mac Randall Jr. and Joanne, and, you guys are here every weekend, and we would love to, for you to come on and talk about the experiences you had and, things that you witnessed. And because, we value everybody's thoughts and experiences, we from everything. So for sure.
Yeah, I would love to have Catfish up on a live.
Yeah.
We'll ask, where's Catfish? Where's Catfish? When's Catfish going to be on? So.
And I'm going to put Catfish's phone number over here in the comments so everybody can be calling him and pressuring him to join us on a live.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't do that to old Catfish.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's starting to get lightning.
We're getting lightning here?
no.
He got some pretty bad storms coming to him.
Where's he at? Kentucky.
He's in Kentucky, the northwest corner, I think, or northwestern side of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Because I know a couple, was it last year? I went to Knoxville to get a machine, and I guess however we go to the Smoky Mountains, like when we go on our Tammy trips, basically the Smoky Mountains where Tammy grew up, down Knoxville, the Smoky Mountains. I know that when we go the way we go, evidently we go right past where Catfish lives. So.
See, he's an hour or so, I believe, north of Nashville.
Yeah, I think he told us that one time that I can't remember the highway numbers, but he said that, evidently we had gone right by his area. So.
Yeah, 68 miles north of Nashville.
Awesome. Well, how's things going with everybody today? Tamara, how are you doing?
Oh, doing good. Had a nice easy Sunday, so that's always nice.
Yes, for sure.
We do have that. We have actually there's a teenager that went missing, actually not too far from my house near Elkhorn. And we did drive around a little bit looking for him, and that the last that I've heard is that they think he's with someone else maybe, and they're just kind of someone with not the best, not a good friend basically, is what they're thinking. And the teenager that's missing, he's highly autistic. He's high functioning autistic.
Oh.
So, but there have been some sightings. None of them have been 100% confirmed, but everyone's kind of posting on Facebook, and everyone's kind of looking around as they drive too. So
Yeah.
Man.
Interesting.
so
Well, hopefully this has a good outcome, and he will come home, be found, be safe.
yeah, I hope so too.
I know in Kansas and in Missouri, there's a tremendous amount of kids that basically, I think there's a lot of kids that go in and out of foster care. And I would say these children are probably 13 to 18 age range. And it's sad because, there is children with autism, and there's so many variants of kids that go missing. And we've discussed it many a times, is that kids that just get lost in the system and they go from one place to the next, then disappear. Are they really disappearing? Is trafficking involved? It's so sad, and I've often said for years that I don't understand why the news and the schools don't play a bigger role in trying to teach children about, I mean, I know we've heard the term stranger danger and this and that, but it sure just doesn't seem like the news and I wouldn't say social media, I'm sorry. The news and the schools just do not play a huge role in children going missing and trying to prevent it. And I just don't understand why. I really don't.
See, in mentioning autistic, anytime there's a child that's missing that is autistic, one of the biggest concerns is bodies of water, because for some reason that seems to draw children with autism.
Yeah.
And there have been there's been several just the last several months have been found hours after they went missing in a body of water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it's a concerning situation that needs more attention. I mean, hands down. And I just don't know why it's not happening. I don't know. So,
and you mentioned numbers of kids going missing. Wichita, Kansas has been a big area of concern for that, just based on how many minors constantly seem to go missing there. But here recently, it seems like there's just as many adults missing in Wichita now. Mm-hmm. It's just an unreal number of missing people there.
I haven't looked on the KBI's website in a while. I haven't looked at numbers to see, but one thing we've always discussed is, back in the 80s into the early 90s, we were talking, a few children a month, maybe a few children a year, depending on what state it was. And now we're talking a few children a day, it seems like. And Tamara, how is it in Nebraska? I mean, have you by chance ever looked statistically? And I guess Kansas has KBI, which is Kansas Bureau of Investigations. Missouri's stuff is MSHP, which is Highway Patrol. So what does Nebraska have, or how do they do their person's stuff? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I know you did. It's like, I don't know. I don't think we have a Nebraska. I'd have to look it up and see. I'm actually looking now to see if we have a Nebraska Federal Bureau, Bureau of Investigations, like an NBI. But I know Nebraska is a smaller state. I know for most of the missing cases I see, it does tend to be, local police tend to be the ones heading up the the investigations. I think ours is probably a little similar. I don't know what our numbers are. I know it's higher than you think they would be. I know there's different kinds of runaways in that, as they're listed. But I follow up there's some different, social media groups that do like Nebraska Missing and things like that. So I do follow them. And that's why this one actually popped up. I think the father posted something about it, and then one of the missing groups started posting about it too, and it just kind of spread at that point. And then the Omaha police is involved in it, and they've actually done multiple searches. So I think it's usually handled by the local police. If they feel there's a crime, it may go over to, a federal. I don't know if it would be federal or if there is a local. I'll have to look into that and see.
Yeah,
it's not working.
I know. I think usually every state has some kind of something that's where the missing people's cases are documented. That's where you can go to get information. I know one time, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember who it was, but we had a message about the amount of missing children, teenagers that were going missing off the reservations in South Dakota. So it was just definitely crazy to look into that and see the amount that do go missing up there. And that North Dakota has a thing that you can go see. And I think also the reservations up there, they have some type of website for missing people also from the reservations. So.
And real quick, I want to jump to this comment. Michael asked if we're going to look for Randy. We do have searches lined up to do for Randy Leach. We also have some properties we're waiting on, once again, permission to access. But we do have searches lined up for him that's coming up soon. We've got, some of us are going to do the searches next weekend that we're traveling out for. And after that, I'm hoping to get a couple of these Randy Leach searches done. And also, speaking of Randy Leach, Tuesday, April 15th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, there will be a live feed. This marks 37 years that Randy Leach has been missing. So we will be doing a live feed going over the case in its entirety again. And the whole open discussion, all of that will take place with that. But definitely we have stuff coming up in Randy's case.
And I did ask if Dennis could that week if we could play the old episodes that pertain to Randy Leach. There's quite a few of them. So, if you have the ability to work and listen to stuff, it might give opportunities for people to catch up on past discussions, information, because when it comes to the Randy Leach case, there is just tremendous amounts of information. And you just never, ever, one episode, 10 episodes will never get it all out. I mean, it's always, every time we do an episode, there's something new. There's, something new to talk about with something that was, brought up somewhere else on social media. Besides our stuff, leads, stuff like that. And we've had quite a few leads, recently. And if you watched the last time we discussed this last week, we had discussed why so many people basically talk to us and then they stop talking to us. And it's like we didn't finish that chapter. We still had a few more lines to talk about. So yeah.
And Alex, going back to Michael, if you remember when we were working on Karina McClurkin's case, that's the one that one was the one I think that hit me the hardest.
Yes.
Michael is a guy that was actually boots on the ground searching for her as well.
Look at that.
Michael Bruner was?
Yes.
Okay.
Byron McDonald, good evening, y'all. Been a roller coaster the past couple of years, but I'm back and hopefully can get more involved this year. Really missed you. You were a help in multiple cases. If you guys remember when AWP was in Atchison searching for Billy and Mary Black, Byron was the guy in that episode with them.
Yeah.
And just extremely good guy. Very happy to see you back.
Yes.
And
awesome.
Rocky Balboa says thoughts and prayers with Dan in the chat. Dan did message us a little bit ago that he wasn't going to be able to join us on the live tonight. He does have a lot of stuff going on. So definitely thoughts and prayers out to Dan. He said Catfish should fill in for Dan on the Sunday night broadcast. He brings a lot to discuss. Catfish is welcome to come on the lives at any time. Would love to have him on here.
Yeah, Catfish has got some stories. So,
wow, I'm glad to see Byron back.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that. I'm like, oh my goodness.
yeah.
Good man right there. So last night we done something a little different, and it was a kind of a trial run. And normally how we've been digging into these cases, and you've heard us talk about how there's times we'll be on the phone till 3 o'clock in the morning, digging in on our computers and stuff. And that got me to thinking that we have basically our whole team all diving into one case at the same time. And it caused me to question, are we limiting ourselves to gaining information on more cases in a smaller time frame? So I talked to Chrissy a week or two ago, and she agreed to be the guinea pig, I guess, in this. So I handed her what was a brand new case for us, which is a missing veteran
from disappeared from Dittmer, Missouri. Richard Dean Jones, 18-year Air Force vet, just packed up and disappeared one day. Left all his belongings at home. Car is still in his driveway. Just up and disappeared.
So
yeah.
When we do this, like she's the one who dove into that case, found information on it. So she done the live feed to bring that information out to everybody, answer any questions. And these would potentially allow the open source investigation to also be taking place during that live. And it was Chrissy's first solo live stream. I think you done incredible on it.
I hope.
So we want to hear from you guys. If you guys want to see more live feeds like that is dedicated to one particular case and information that person has uncovered.
Thank you, Mac. I appreciate it.
So let us know what you guys think. And if you want to see more of that, then we will continue going that route with it.
Yeah, because I mean, there's more information. Obviously, I have to get more people to call and whatnot, but just the justification, just what I had taken from what.
Yeah.
It was not very much to go off of, but that poor case doesn't have much to go off of. But yeah, hopefully I did Richard some justice there, got him out there like I should have. So,
and you digging into that case we now have a very strong location of interest
Yeah.
that needs search
Yeah.
for this missing veteran. So.
And that's kind of what is, some of these cases, when we look into them, literally you can spend 5 minutes and you're like, that's it. There's nothing else. That's it. That's all the information. You can literally say everything about a case in 5 minutes. So
14 minutes in, I got kind of nervous because I'm like, that's it. What do I do now?
yeah.
So
Because I've done some where I've felt like I've had to repeat like 3 times, and it's like, okay, 10 minutes has gone by, and I don't have anything else on this, and sometimes there's just not. It's so the sometimes cases can be so simple as the person walked out the door, they were going to the gas station to get a pop. They were going by the grocery store to grab some bread and some laundry soap, and they never came home.
Yeah.
There was no foul play. They weren't involved in stuff they shouldn't be involved in. They didn't have mental or physical issues, and literally sometimes just nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
And you feel weird because then you like. I never want people to feel like, oh, well, that's all they want to say about a person. No, literally, sometimes that's all there is to say. And
sometimes there's literally no more information out there than what is on a missing persons flyer that's been posted.
Yeah. So
I was lucky to get what I could find to begin with, but it's a weird case. It's an odd case. Packed up, walked away, disappeared, and he hasn't been seen since.
And two different deputies giving him a ride.
Well, one deputy gave him a courtesy ride, and the other one just happened to be driving down the road and saw him walking to the Dollar General. Didn't stop to ask him about anything, but he watched where he went, and he went to the Dollar General, and unfortunately that was closed, so he couldn't get in. But he didn't notice anything weird about it. Though, him walking there or the other deputies, give him a ride, no signs of any kind of anything. So I don't know.
So would this be one? Because I know you said that he was reported missing by his landlord, but the family's involved too.
Right.
But as an adult, and I know there was other discussions too, but if he just picked up and left, it's
right.
I think it's one of those cases that are a little bit. It's hard to know if he just walked off and just said enough with this.
Right.
Well, my biggest thing is he had lost his job. So apparently 3 months of back rent, of rent hadn't been paid. So I'm wondering if maybe that plus his PTSD mixed together, I think it just maybe got too much for him. And he finally said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to do what I can to make myself feel better. But if he is retired Air Force, wouldn't he be getting retirement?
Did he get a pension or something?
Yeah.
He should be, yeah.
And
So,
why
Like
would
an 18-year veteran, you would think you would be getting something.
If any of you of our viewers out there know anything about, PTSD and depression, it just mentioned PTSD, but I'm obviously with PTSD comes depression.
And it sounds like he was really
he was a big recluse, hardly went outside, hardly spoke to his family. Neighbors hardly ever saw him. So I do not see, and he had a walking stick. So I'm wondering if he did this kind of thing quite a bit, just go out for walks. But being a veteran like that, it is possible. There is a chance he could survive out there, knowing his skills. But who knows? So.
Yeah, because I know he had the walking stick and a large backpack.
Yeah.
And I felt like, I don't think this is the word that he would use, but like a walkabout, like what they talk about. It's like, it's just something to kind of, just find your purpose that way. I don't know if that was part of it, but.
Well, I kind of, for one thing too, is lost his job, and I guess depending on did he lose his job or did he get fired? Because why, if he was, how long had he lost his job? Was he getting unemployment? And
see, there is absolutely no information about that I have tried to find, except he had lost his local job, and that was the end of it. It didn't say for how long, where, when.
I just would think if he lost his job.
Yeah.
I know Missouri, I can't remember if you get fired, you can still get unemployment, or if it's only if you lose your job, you get unemployment. But I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's too many things. If he was retired military, wouldn't he have some kind of pension fund?
See, that's what I thought, because he was really, really good about payments coming out. They were automatic withdrawals. So he was very good about keeping up with payments. So, and then all of a sudden it just stopped apparently. So I don't know.
I don't know. There's definitely, and like you also said last night, that the landlord has confiscated all his personal belongings.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I see why he's doing. The consensus was, well, because he wants his money.
Right.
And when this guy shows back up, he can have his stuff back when he gets paid all his back rent.
And see, that's what I'm thinking, because his family tried to collect his belongings and the landlord just refuses to give anything. And to me, like I said, it sounds like the landlord is keeping them until he gets his rent money.
Yeah.
I would think the police could go in there and do something and say, hey, you know what I mean?
I'm surprised they didn't take like his computer and his phone and stuff when they were in there prior.
I guarantee you there is something on that computer that would probably point to why he left.
Now, do you know if they had a warrant when they accessed the property? Because if they did not have a warrant, they wouldn't have been able to take that.
They didn't. They had stepped in and searched the home just to make sure there wasn't any foul play or blood or anything like that. So, I mean.
But you would think that they would automatically have tried to take the phone, any phones, any type of laptops, desktops, iPads, anything like that. You think they would have tried to have got a search in whatever to basically take it from the landlord in order to help find him,
To do that, they would need a warrant, and they're going to have enough probable cause to get the judge to sign off on it. And an adult that went missing like that was seen by deputies out walking around, no signs of a struggle or anything like that in the house. It would be pretty difficult to convince a judge for a warrant.
Right, because if he's out walking around, I don't think the cops are going to go up to him and go, "Where do you think you're going? What are you doing?" No, they don't. Just some guy going for a walk. So,
yeah, it's not a crime, and
and
it's he has the right to leave and do whatever he wants. Then it turns into it's more of there is a concern for his well-being. There needs to be probably some type of.
Well, it just bothers me that the deputies and whatnot can sit there and say there's a strong probability he is not in the area. Now, how do they know that? How do they know he's not in the area still?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know?
And there we go. Byron, without suspicion of foul play.
Yeah.
I don't want to go deep into Byron's story without his permission, but I will say he has knowledge when it comes to law enforcement.
Night, Bobby. Stay safe, bud.
You take care, Bobby, and let's plan on 2 weeks from now. Let's plan on you joining us on a live feed.
Yeah, Bobby.
I'd also like to have Byron join us on a live feed sometime.
Wink.
Yeah.
Wink.
Everybody's welcome to join.
Yes.
Sorry.
Matt, I don't know for Matt to be on one too.
Yeah. Sorry, one of my
yeah.
cousins is messaging me, and I'm trying to read his messages.
But anyway, yes, hopefully, love you too. But anyway, hopefully I got somewhat of a story out about Richard. So.
Yeah, you did so.
Well, good. I'm glad.
For sure.
I did hear the word freedom, so I think that was at least in his mindset, possibly, that he has the freedom to do whatever he wants. And
exactly,
it's almost like this whole, I don't know if this is right or not, but it's like this whole 9 to 5 thing and working, and it just was not for him. Like, this is not.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, he took everything he would need. He didn't take any identification with him, and that's what bothers me.
It's almost like you're going off grid.
And that's what it makes me think.
Yeah,
and
living off the land, and
right. And him being military, he can survive. Believe me, he'll be able to survive.
Yeah, but I still think there is a good concern, like you said, with the PTSD and kind of like how he was quiet in that. You just don't know, what was going through his head. So I think there's still some, even if, this is what he was going to do, but I think it's more, you still have some concern.
I don't want to think that route, but you obviously have to it just in big, bold letters suffered from PTSD. So
that'd be interesting. They must have gotten that information from somewhere, though.
I'm assuming it's probably his family. Like I said, he was a recluse, so he really didn't talk much to people.
Yeah.
But his neighbors were the ones that said, "Oh, he hardly came outside or did anything." So honestly, he did talk to people, obviously. So
yeah.
Well, and his family didn't check on him for 3 months, so that's
right.
Might have been a little bit of both sides, maybe.
Right.
Just doesn't have a lot of contact, so
it's just an odd case, and makes me really worried because he's been out there since 2002. So goodness.
What year did he go missing now?
22.
22. Okay. Mm-hmm. I thought you just said 2002.
No, I'm sorry. If I did, that was my fault. I'm sorry.
Maybe I misunderstood you, but I thought you said.
No. I'm glad you said that.
I thought you said 2000. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's been gone a while. Mac just said, and he was dropped off at a campsite. It was Shady Beach Campground. It's by the Elk River in Missouri, by the Ozarks. So thank you.
Being helpful and knock you out.
Yeah, I know, right?
At the same time.
Yeah. But yeah, it's by Elk River. He was seen at the Dollar General there in St. Clair. So he's in that area. Jefferson, Franklin County area. So. But unfortunately, the campground was closed at the time, so nobody in or out. Absolutely.
But none of his, I guess there's probably no information that would ever say if his credit cards or debit cards was ever tried to be used.
Right.
Because
he didn't take anything with him. They remained in his home. So there wouldn't have been any activity.
Yeah. Okay. And it could have been, that might be also one of those things. It might be hard for the police to dig too much. If,
That's what they said in interviews, that there is just, they're doing their best they can, but there is really, there's really not much to go on. And that's the hard part with this case. What did Mac say? Yeah, absolutely, Mac. People can find a way in. But I mean, I don't know how long the deputy stayed after he dropped Richard off. But yeah, he could have easily just hopped a fence or something like that. Or whatever.
What was the campground called again?
Shady Beach Campground.
Okay.
When you look at that campground on satellite imaging, you are surrounded by woods for seemingly miles.
Yeah.
Then you have the little river coming through there.
You've got Mount Shira access, which is just a boat ramp. That's right at that area. But like I said last night, Elk River is really known for a lot of float trips. So I'm sure there's boat ramps and parking spots everywhere. So.
Well, I know one thing. I hate to say this, but maybe we should look into. So I take it south is Noel, north is Anderson, Lanigan, and Anderson.
Yeah.
And farther down south is Sulphur Springs.
Yep.
Maybe we should look into any possible remains that have been found that are unidentified. You know, any way those waterways and tributaries branch off. Because what if he simply went to the campground and he went down to the water to wash himself and he slid and hit his head and floated down, drowned.
All of those type of things have crossed my mind, and I think even me and Denny were going through our minds the other night, thinking, okay, it could be this. He could have done that. He could have even gotten a ride from somebody and took them completely out of state for all we know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he could have taken a bus. You know, we don't know.
But was there threats or was there accusations? And forgive me if I have forgot this, but was there accusations of him wanting to unalive himself?
Nope.
None of that.
He never showed any kind of behavior, any kind of nothing. He just seemed like a guy that was just needing a ride. He looked like he was on his way to go camp out in the woods for a while. That's all he looked like. That's what the behavior was for, that's what the deputies.
Yeah. And I think that's when it becomes harder to dig because there's no crime. There's no
nothing
potential harm to himself or others. So he has every right to do what he wants. So yeah.
Because when they checked his home, there was no foul play. No foul play. There was no no, what do you call it in the house?
Suspicious.
Yes. Thank you. I think it was you, Tamara, that just said it, right?
Yep.
But they didn't find
activity. Yeah.
Right. They didn't find anything in the home. There was no something had been cleaned. There was no blood. There was no nothing. So he literally packed his stuff up, took what he wanted, and then left.
And actually him packing his stuff up is a little bit of a good sign. Because if it was going to be, I'm just going to go and end everything, then you wouldn't take anything with you. So, but I still think it's I feel like it's the freedom to do this, to go on. Like I said, I say walkabout. I don't feel like that's the terminology that he would use, but I feel like it's a similar concept. But that doesn't mean it's more of well, let's just see kind of thing. Not like I'm going to do anything urgent now, but I think it's just kind of wait and see what you find, see if it's worth it or not. So,
but yeah.
So he was if he was missing from Hillsboro.
He was last seen in Ditter, though, right? Or is it reversed?
He was actually, all right. This is the confusing part.
That's a long ways away from each other, isn't it?
Right. He is missing from Dittmer, Dittmer. But he's from Hillsboro, Missouri.
Yeah, he lived in Hillsboro, but went missing at Dittmer.
Yeah.
But he
So
was.
that raises the question: how did he get to Dittmer from Hillsboro?
See,
He could have hitchhiked. He could have, yeah, I don't know.
there were 3 locations.
See, and you also have a date. There's 2 different dates associated with this case as well,
Yeah,
but we could only
Yeah.
assume one of those was the time he was last seen, and one of them was the time he was reported missing.
right.
But as of right now, it has not been confirmed. So.
No, we've got a last reported missing late May of 2022, but on his flyer, March 29th of 2022. So
That would be the
Right.
date he was last seen,
Yeah.
and this would be when he
Right.
was reported missing.
So March, April,
Because
yeah.
Dittmer and Hillsboro is a long ways away from Shady Acres
Beach.
Campground.
Yeah, Shady Beach, yeah. But that's the campground that he asked the deputy for a ride for. So I don't know.
And the deputy 100% confirmed it was him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, this is just an odd case.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's just a long ways away from where he was at, where he was missing from, and where supposedly he was.
Yeah.
I mean,
So now this does raise the question: was he simply wanting to get away from everything and just leaving everything behind? It also raises the hard question again of, self-harm.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, 2 very strong
Yeah.
possibilities.
I mean, I don't know if it was the loss of his job. I don't know if something had occurred or if he just had enough of life, period.
I mean, that's clear across from one side of the state to the other.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it really is. He basically, he went missing all the way at the bottom south corner of Missouri, the northwest corner of Arkansas. I mean, that scene was the southwest corner of Missouri, basically, the northwest corner of Arkansas, that general area. But he was all the way from over clear by St. Louis. I mean,
Yeah. Yep.
And where's the discretion in the dates coming from? Because what was the time frame when when did the landlord called and say, this is what happened? I haven't seen him. And then when was he seen down here at the water, at the beach?
Now, the landlord reported him missing 3 months after the date he was last seen.
So that was March. So March, April, May. If we're thinking 3 months, and that's why we're getting 3 different months of time, and basically
nobody knows. That's the bad part. Like,
What do you think, Tamara?
The one thing, like I said, what I hear is it's freedom was really loud. That's an important piece of it. I don't feel anything like where is he at now? I don't know. But yeah, the walkabout feels right. And that's, like I said, it's not the word he would use, but it's what I would know. Whatever he's doing, I don't know if I know the terminology for, but or whatever he would call it. But yeah, it's more like walkabout, freedom. But yeah, I think there still is some concern about, like I said, it's more of like the 9 to 5 was not, whether he was fired or let go or quit, doesn't matter. It just wasn't meant for him, is what I feel like, or he felt like it was, at least at that time.
right.
Well,
Darn it.
Could
Oh,
he
hard to see.
could he possibly be traveling to Freedom, Oklahoma?
I don't know. Freedom was very loud. I think I mean, sometimes you have multiple meanings.
I know.
But that was it. Having the freedom to do this, I think, is where I'm coming from. But who knows? It could mean that too. So,
And, you know, when you mention freedom, Tamara, it makes me wonder if he had this plan, just, you know, decided, hey, I'm just done. I want to get out. I want to do my own thing. I don't care if I pay my rent. I have plenty of money, but I just don't care. I'm leaving.
yeah.
Now, was his wallet found at home?
Yep.
So his debit card would probably be
Yep.
there. So he wouldn't have access to any money
Nope.
once he left.
Yep.
Yeah. So like you said, again, there's no crime. So whether he emptied his bank account or not, you don't know. Whether he forwarded his, pension to, maybe he's living like Reacher.
I love that
Yeah.
show.
I do too. It's a good one. So
But,
so maybe
yeah.
he's just wondering. Who knows? I don't know. I just know what I those two things I feel very sure about. But I also feel like there is some mental health issues. There is more of like, let's just see kind of thing. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna do my own thing, and then let's see. And
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
what that means necessarily. Whether it's worth it to stay here, or whether it's gonna, just see what there is. Just because there are people who do that. They just there's people who've written books. They just walk across America.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Hold on. There is a Freedom, Missouri,
Mhm.
which is back west of St. Louis, which is it's kind of northwest of Owensville, and it's kind of southeast of Jefferson City. There is a Freedom, Missouri.
Well, that's kind of neat. Darn.
And it's off of 50 Highway. Well, it's north of 50 Highway.
Unfortunately, Byron, it just states that he was an Air Force veteran. So I'm not sure what his MOS was.
Yeah, that might depend too on how skilled he was. So
And see,
yeah, and then also like where did he grow up? What parts of the country is he familiar with? Is it like he was stationed here or stationed there, and he would have familiarity with it? Who knows?
Like I said, he is from Hillsboro, Missouri. So I don't know I still have to do a lot more uncovering of this, but Hillsboro, Missouri, I don't know if he has like any family members that are in the military or what. But that's where he's from.
Yeah.
But something else that's kind of crazy is the word freedom is all in capital letters.
Really?
And
that's why it's coming out forward to you, right, Tamara?
It was just loud. I didn't see capital letters, but it was just loud.
Well, that's
how it would sound, right?
I'm going to put it in the group chat. You guys look at the picture.
It's interesting. Yeah, usually the cities aren't in all caps.
That's the way it's coming across on my phone. It's all in capital letters.
What do you guys?
Or is it? What is it?
Huh?
Is it a city or is it something else?
It's evidently a city.
I don't see a little black circle next to it, though.
I don't either. But it just says freedom in all capital letters.
Freedom Neighborhood, Osage County, Missouri. It's a neighborhood, but it's like the middle of nowhere. There's they don't see a town. Huh. No, that is interesting.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It says neighborhood.
They found Freedom, Missouri. They're talking about Freedom, Missouri.
It's 3 hours and 17 minutes from my house.
Well, get in the truck and go.
Will you see how far that is from Lebanon, Missouri?
Yeah.
if I can make it do that. Let's see. Freedom to.
Oh, it's an unincorporated community in Missouri.
What's that mean?
It's a really tiny town. Really tiny town.
What's unincorporated mean?
It's not all. Basically, we'll have is like a post office and maybe a bar and a few people.
Kind of like Easton.
58 minutes, Dennis.
58 minutes.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, and the
no, that did Freedom Bank of Missouri.
It had a post office until 1957, but it was established in 1889.
Woo.
Well, I know this sounds silly, but we need to look and see if there was any remains found in that area.
Yep, absolutely.
Because there's, I mean, I'm just literally scrolling through the map thing of Missouri. There is no town or anything in all capitals except for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's silly to think that, but
you never know. That's what Tamara's pulling. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's an hour and 47 minutes from Lebanon because of the roundabout way you got to go.
I'll be darned. Be an easy way to, but I wonder if we click on the hashtag. I never even thought about that.
It's something to look into because she's going to be continuing to dig into this.
Yeah.
And when she has enough to do it, she will be coming on and doing a part 2.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, yesterday was just kind of trying to just get the word out. So.
Yeah, there's Mount Sterling is to the east, and Lynn is to the west. So we should really try to just do a little investigative work and see if there was.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I take it that's either freedom, as in I don't have to pay bills no more. I can go do whatever I want.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm a free soul now.
That's why I said I think he might have. Excuse me. He may have planned this out. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
is there? I wonder if there is a. What's the word I'm looking for, Dennis? A military style guy camp. You know what I'm talking about.
He was retired, so I don't think there was an active one going on for him.
No, what if he joined a military movement group?
Sort of like a militia.
Protest. Okay, I get what you're saying. I don't know.
Being reclusive wouldn't necessarily stop somebody from that because a lot of these groups do tend to try to stay shadowed, so to speak. Yeah. And if being a military veteran, a lot of these groups have a lot of veterans in them. So it could be that sense of camaraderie.
I can never say that word. Camaraderie. Did I say it right? I think so. Mm-hmm. I agree exactly with what you would think there'd be more. So. In
the last several years, not so much anymore, but there were several years, and we'll go back to the Obama administration, not going political or nothing, But that's when you really started seeing a lot of these militia groups become very active on social media, openly recruiting and stuff. And some of these guys, I think their hearts are in the right place. Some of these guys were just absolute extremists. So it was what group you come in contact with, basically.
I mean, I'll have to look and see if any events or anything political was going on at the time, and we can just see.
Well, these groups, a lot of times they would meet at a location, property out in the woods somewhere to train and do their stuff. And
we'll see.
Have we checked for a Facebook page from his past?
Nothing.
Was there anything?
He's a recluse.
Odd on it?
There's nothing.
No social media.
Nope. Yep. No. I am absolutely going to check again though, just to make absolutely sure. But as of yesterday, no.
And being that he's reclusive, it wouldn't hurt to go back and check old school like MySpace and those areas as well.
Oh my goodness.
Go back in the day.
Yeah.
Cameron and I are going, we know.
I remember that, yeah. I remember when it came out.
I have 200 friends on MySpace or something,
I never had MySpace, but I knew what it was.
Right? What'd you
I
say?
got dragged into Facebook kicking and screaming, so.
See, I didn't do any of the social media stuff till I met Megan, and she finally convinced me to get on MySpace.
Oh, good night. That's showing how long they've been together, folks.
I think I got kind of addicted to.
And now look at us. So, what did he say? Is still around? Yeah.
So we'll want to check that and any other social medias that's been around.
I want to at least try to get a hold of the deputies and hopefully a family member.
Yeah, family members would be good. Or even like where he worked as well. Like if
absolutely,
because that would be where he probably had his most social interaction because you were kind of forced to. So
yeah, exactly. So.
Where's Thomasville, Missouri?
What?
Hold on, I already found a militia group in Missouri.
Oh, there's several.
Oh wow! Oh yeah. I'll be right back.
And guys, we're talking about these groups, but we're not pro and we're not anti. We're just doing an investigation. I'll leave it at that.
That's right. Yeah, I think we got a lot to look into this one. I mean, there's some.
This one's more of a boots on the ground one.
Yeah, this is interesting for sure. I mean, there's so many things to look at, different directions, different ways, to see what was going on in this guy's life.
And Alex Mack says that location is in western Missouri.
The Thomasville I found was at least it comes up from my address. It's straight down in the middle of the state, right just above the border of Arkansas. So unless there's multiple ones or there's just the way it came up, but I don't know. But this could go so many different ways. It really could. I mean, it bothers me that he lived over on the east side of the state, but was last seen, he middle of the state, basically on the east, was last seen over on the bottom southwest side, and I don't know. It just, there's the simple thing to me in my mind would be he had just had an unfortunate accident, that he just slipped and fell and went in the water and unfortunately passed away from being in the water, but why would he be all the way over there on the other side of the state?
Now, I do know that river there, it's not only popular for float trips, but it's popular for fishing. Most rivers and streams in Missouri, you can find catfish. This particular river has a large number of very large catfish people like to go to target.
Yeah.
So it's visited by both your float trip people, but it's also heavily visited with fishermen. The thing with those rivers, especially from that area south in Missouri, they're great for float trips, but they're normally really shallow. And when the water levels are down, you've got areas you still have to get out of your canoe and carry your canoe sometimes 100 yards till it's deep enough again. So without being there and seeing it, I would assume it's probably not deep enough that sonar is used heavy, maybe a few times. So it wouldn't be sonar checked, but it should be shallow enough that if he was in the water, a fisherman would have found something. But then most people going fishing aren't thinking about finding something like that, so it's overlooked. That happens very often too. There was not long ago a vehicle was found underwater that had remains in it, and found out that fishermen have been seeing that vehicle on their sonar for years. And they see it as structure, and they fished it, catching fish around it. Structure holds fish really well underwater.
Yeah.
Several years of that, somebody finally recognizes, oh, this is a vehicle. The vehicle's pulled out. There's remains in the vehicle. And for years, people seen it, and it didn't register what that was they were looking at other than structure. So it's possible if he did go in the water that is something that's happened. People not realize what they're actually seeing.
Yeah. And with Tamara's comment of freedom, I hate to say it, that could mean freedom from life, as in unalived freedom. You know what I mean?
So many things to look at in this case, so many possibilities. And something like this to where, contacting the sheriff's department, finding any family or anybody that knew him personally, that seems to be the only way to find any answers, because there's nothing out there on him other than news articles.
Yeah.
Now, the news articles you looked at, did they mention names of family or anything like that?
That's the problem. There is literally, and it's aggravating, there is no mention of any family except just family. That's all they have.
We'll be able to kind of dig into him and maybe be able to find family members based on some checks we can do.
But he does have a family, enough that, they tried to get his stuff. Anyway. So
that's the other concern of mine. 3 months from the last time he was seen till he was reported missing. even as a recluse, you would wonder why questions weren't raised. No contact, not hearing. But and I hate to go back to this, but something Alex brought up here not too long ago was the question of what if somebody went missing and was reported missing, but really wasn't missing.
Yeah.
And family knew, and that whole aspect of it.
Oh, that would be.
And
goodness.
I don't, from what I have heard that you have found on this, I don't think that's the case. But like everything else would need to be ruled out.
Right. I mean, he wasn't married. There's no children there. It's just him. So.
Well, he definitely had to have, at this point, I don't know. I don't know the law, but I would think, I mean, he was clearly an adult, but the only people that would have any rights to his belongings would either be a wife, a partner, or his mother or father.
Yeah.
That's who I would say would have first rights to his belongings.
Yeah.
I don't think that a cousin or brother or sister could come in and try to take stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be totally wrong.
Oh,
I don't know.
I mean, that's,
ET.
is he still, I mean, he's just missing, so he's not declared,
Yeah.
that he's gone. Yeah. And technically he left everything with the landlord. So technically it's an abandonment of property. So technically the landlord does own it. So
yes.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's so many ways this could go. I mean,
he lived in like I said, a trailer court. So obviously there's, what do you need?
How old was he?
He went missing. He was 42 at the time. Birthday 8/1/79, if that helps. So I'm age. Oh, that's right. He's Denny's age. So, but anyway, there could be I'm neighbors I could talk to about that as well. So, but yeah.
Interesting. It really is. I mean, it could lead to so many different avenues.
Yeah, because I mean, I want to know who even made his flyer, his missing persons flyer. It had to be a family member. So to know that much information. So.
Well, we'll have to look into, and I haven't done it yet, but we need to troll Facebook, and we need to see what is out there when you search his name, dig through comments, and finally see if you find the typical, he's my cousin, he's my brother. Look for those comments.
Oh, yeah.
And then try to get in contact with a relative that way. Because, the story we are hearing is the story that's out here, but not the story what's down here. Because we don't know. There could be two stories. I mean, we know the story that's put out in the public, but we don't know if there's a different story because, I mean, we all know that more than not, there's multiple different things that the public doesn't know about.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Is that the only thing that you feel, Tamara, when we've discussed him, is just that word freedom?
The walkabout and the freedom is the what stands out the most.
Walkabout.
Mm-hmm. Walkabout was the first thing I got, and the freedom I got just when we were talking about it, but it was very clear.
I'm gonna go back to maps and make sure there's not a walkabout in Missouri.
No,
it's an Australian term. So
yeah, exactly. Walk around in the bush.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. I just run his name through a website that we use that helps us find family members and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he had no address show up, which would make sense because he's renting. He doesn't own that property.
Yeah.
But he also, if he would have had a phone number, he would have come up on this app or this website. He did not come up on this website, which raises the question, did he even have a phone, a cell phone? And going through what they have on the flyer and what you've seen in the news reports, his wallet, his car, his computer, and his other belongings were still there, but nowhere did it mention cell phone.
Yep.
So now it raises the question, did he even have a phone?
Yeah.
And being a recluse,
He wanted, the way he probably wanted it that way. Gosh.
Yeah, I think the other thing I get is that what I feel like is that the coworkers might give you the best discussion, because one of the pictures did show him, and it appeared to be with a group of people. I think the picture to the right that you showed.
Yeah, he was with a group of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and again, that'd be interesting. Like, where was that picture from? Who provided that picture? Was that a family event? Was that friends, or was that work picnic or something?
Yeah.
Because that would probably be his most social place. So
that's probably the closest picture we would have. The one on the right there of him, what he would probably look like.
Yeah, because he had a beard when he went missing.
So, yep. I got
have
some
your
work to
cut
do.
out.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one.
And as she gets more information on this case and more answers and stuff, she'll be bringing that out to you guys in a live feed. And actually, in all honesty, before it goes live, we would be doing a FaceTime with the team itself and going over this before going live with it.
Oh, hey. He graduated from Pototsi. His mama died of cancer years ago. So he only has his brother, and he's not around anymore.
Oh, man.
What?
Someone writes, did he graduate with us? He looks so familiar, but I can't place. He worked with him at McDonald's. No family lives in the state.
I do feel like family's not involved. That he's, like I said, I think it might be a little bit on both sides, but there's just like no connection, really.
So missing people in America served with his brother.
Oh, wow.
I served with his brother. Jackson County Sheriff's Office wrote, thank you for your service.
Missing people in America, we follow each other on social media, so you may reach out to them as well.
Yeah.
And then the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office wrote on August 5th, 2024, thanks to Mercedes Mackey for covering Richard Jones's missing person case. Please watch the story and share it with your friends and call the Detectives Bureau. There's a phone number. And the website is ksdk.com. So that must be the news channel down there.
That's the one I watched and got most of this information from. So I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Might need to reach out to that reporter too.
Missing person. It was in America, right?
Yeah.
So there is
what was the
KSDK.
I just posted it in the group.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm on. Here's what they wrote. Missing people in America. Richard Jones is not only a military veteran, but also the brother of a soldier I personally served with overseas who is a Purple Heart recipient.
Oh, man.
On October 30th, 2010, after assisting with a SF operations, his platoon left returning to our FOB. We left about 10 minutes later after his platoon. While en route, his platoon was ambushed, and we arrived at the scene of the ongoing ambush with his truck on fire. Within the last year, another soldier who has had in his truck died from injuries he sustained in the attack, and he still had shrapnel throughout his body. That being said, Richard Jones' family has gone through a lot. Richard served his country, and the least we can do is help bring him home.
Wow.
Let's see. Did you say platoon?
Yes.
Is that Navy or Air Force? Or is that the...
That's all of them.
You also mentioned SF. Special Forces.
Special Forces.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Definitely has the skill set to survive.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Here we go. This was 2 weeks ago. This girl writes, his possessions and car shouldn't have been released to anyone but his family. That's awful. Missing people in America responds, Mandy, talking to his brother. He originally told us the landlord sold everything. So I asked him, can you say for a fact they sold it? He goes, I tried to get his stuff back and asked the landlord about it. She then extremely got nasty with me, and then the conversation ended.
Wow.
Okay, so now we know that the landlord is a female. We know that his brother is alive. There's like 260 comments on this. A lot of people in other states sharing.
You know, you raised the question, would the landlord be holding on to the stuff, hoping to get the 3 months back rent back? But the landlord also being the one to report him missing would likely have an idea they're probably not getting the money.
Yeah, and that would be the landlord would then have to store it somewhere and pay a storage fee, and
Right.
most of them aren't going to do that. I mean, it depends. They, because this is where it comes down to. There's some opinions. It's like, oh, he's missing. We don't know what happens. We're concerned versus he just took off and didn't pay rent. Could be how the landlord sees it. And like I said, legally, if you follow whatever legal recourse you could, I think landlords legally probably within their spec, although that doesn't mean that it was right. So
Right.
You do.
Yeah.
I just posted on that we are discussing this case live right now, so not sure if we'll get a big change of people, but yeah, there's a lot more comments to read on this, and
Some recent ones too.
there's people all over Missouri sharing it, so That definitely. Wow. What can you say? You know.
Yeah. I think he's one of those, especially with all the information you found so far and what Chrissy's found too. I think he definitely has if he wants to stay hidden, he has the ability to do it. So,
Right.
I just. I'm throwing this out here. Wonder if he had something going on with the landlord and he wanted to get away from her. You know, like he had a relationship possibly, and that freedom, maybe that word freedom is because he got away from her. I mean, I hate to throw stuff out there, but you know, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely.
my gut reaction is no, but again, that's just intuition.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I don't know if this is right, but I feel like she's older.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking too.
So I don't think, like I said, it's more kind of like my gut is like I don't really think so, but you never know. I just think it was probably she's just a mean old lady kind of thing, and just a mean old lady landlord, and didn't really care as long as he paid the rent. She probably didn't care.
Oh goodness! Joanne just said that the tornado warning alert just went off for her. Go get where you need to be, Joanne.
Go to the basement.
Yes.
Do not
stay safe, please.
Yeah.
I know not everyone has basements, which I grew up in Nebraska. I'm from Nebraska, and everyone has basements because of tornadoes. Right. So, but hopefully you have a basement, if not bathroom.
Right.
Seeing Byron says this falls back to property abandonment. The family would need to file through the courts to get it back, but my guess would be it's gone already. As many trash left behind items to sell it. And I could say this about Byron. He would know how a lot of that works.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see that if the landlord has the ability to do that, or if since it's abandoned. I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, but yeah, I've still got quite a bit to. What are you looking for there, Alex? Yeah.
Busty.
I'm looking.
Hey, Byron, I have a question for you. With him just reported missing right now and nothing more, this would legally be abandonment. Let's say the landlord did sell or get rid of all of his belongings, and say a month or so from now, he's found, and it turns out, let's say hypothetically that this was a foul play case, just hypothetical. And would the landlord then have to reimburse the family since it wouldn't have been abandonment of his own free will? Or would it just be done and that's the end of it?
Alex is reading Facebook comments.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm
That's what Mac just said.
I just found another flyer that's got a different picture of him on it.
Oh, that might be the picture.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I don't know if you guys have seen the one, but the one picture on the one I just seen, the picture on the right, I hadn't seen that one. And he does look like a different person when he's.
Yeah, he looks in good spirits.
Yeah. I mean,
and there's a reward. Wow.
You see, there's another picture out there that's on a different flyer that we tried to find so she could share, but we couldn't find it anywhere.
Now, see, this one says vanished from House Springs, Missouri.
My word.
It says missing since March 2022. Franklin County, Missouri. Height, weight, military veteran. Vanished from House Springs, Missouri. His car is still at his home and nothing is out of place. Okay. What?
Trying to see. And it don't say who made
Right.
that flyer either.
Right. But the picture, can I go ahead and show you if it'll
Yeah.
work? I don't know how well y'all can see it, but the second picture right there of him, this one up here. I mean, look how just he's all smiles and whatnot. So yeah.
I can see it. Yeah.
He looks happy.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah. He actually, really does. Like,
So, but now they're saying House Springs. So
whatever he was doing at that time, he was very happy. So
maybe he was drifting around. I don't know.
Well, the thing that I was looking for, and I was basically looking to see if his brother had posted on Facebook, "Hey, my brother is missing." I was looking to see if I could come across anything like that, and I have not. I haven't. I haven't seen anything like that come up yet. So.
And then Byron said that would vary, but to know what was actually there or what has value, the landlord would have been within the law to clean out the property. I don't believe it would hold up in court.
Yeah. And we did get a caring heart from Missing People in America. Missing People in America. They left a comment on or left that on my comment that I said we were discussing this case live. So thank you to them. Thank you to them for sharing the case and doing what they have done. We appreciate it. So for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I believe we have 4 different locations of three locations of the original date of disappearance, and then basically in May that he was seen, all the way down in the southwest corner of the state at the other area. I mean, that's just crazy.
The family should have immediately filed to get the property when he was reported missing. A judge would have to have granted the property be released to the closest family member.
Well, I would think that the police would have.
Right.
I find it hard to believe he wouldn't have had a phone. I would think that he would have had to have a phone, a laptop. He would have had to have something for some kind of communication, Now,
with his number, with him not showing up on this website with the phone number, it is possible he could have had possibly a burner phone. I know sometimes they will show up on this website if they go through and put their name in and everything when they get one of those. But there are burner phones out there that you don't have to put your name and stuff on. So it is still possible he could have had one of them.
Yeah. Huh.
This is just the first time that I've had a missing adult that I went on this website and wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's strange. I mean, because that's unless he had a phone in somebody else's name, not his name, but if it's not a burner phone and it's not that situation, I just have a hard time believing he didn't have some way to communicate with. I mean, he had to have had some friends. I mean, he had to have had a phone, something to call work, or.
Well, he had a computer. That's about as close as he got.
I
To
mean,
anything.
heck,
Now-
I don't even think you can buy anything or get any kind of service if you don't have a phone number. You can't even put a parts order in online if you don't have a phone number. I mean, I know it's silly to say that, but
Okay, well, what about a Google phone number? There's websites that you could get a phone number off of Google that you could actually use your computer to make the calls on. 'Cause for a while, I actually had one of those for Muddy Waters. And then for what we do is like, well, that's ridiculous. That's not needed. You know, just use my phone.
Yeah.
But that could also be a possibility there.
I mean, I could. Is that your house, Tamara?
Yes. That's the guinea pigs. My daughter has guinea pigs.
Okay.
Okay, officer body cam would have been the only proof of what was in the residence at the time, but the officers could not have searched the residence, only looked where a person could be within.
Yeah, because they went in basically to do a wellness check
Yeah,
because reported missing and was asked by the landlord to do so.
yeah.
But by law, they wouldn't have the authority. They couldn't open anything, may not have actually been able to open any doors or anything,
Right.
or at
So,
least to a
Mainly
point.
just kind of pop their heads in and go, looks good. I don't see nothing. So,
And when you look at him, you know, he's a fairly good sized guy. And with-
about 6 foot, 200 some odd pounds.
And with his military background too,
Yeah.
you know, if somebody come in there and attacked him, there's going to be signs of that. He's not a guy that looks like he would go quietly.
Yeah.
Goodness. Yeah, this is a lot going on in this one.
It is. I think tonight's talking about this has really opened it back up
Yeah.
compared to what what you have found up to this date, and a little more discussing it and stuff.
See, now there's more avenues to branch out into going forward.
Yeah.
Because you were able to find a lot of stuff going into that.
Yeah.
And then, as he's
But
saying,
there's
tonight, opens up.
there's absolutely more info out there. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah, there definitely is.
yeah.
Now, I can honestly say, though, just for the last 20 minutes we've been discussing this, and I was trolling Facebook, there's not a lot of stuff being posted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comments on a few of them, but I just find it odd that so how old was he again? How old are you, Dennis? 40? I forgot.
45. You say 46, I'm going to knock you off of here.
Why don't you tell him your real age? He's 51. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm
He
51.
was 42.
Yeah.
He was 42 when he disappeared.
Yeah, he is 11 days younger than me.
8/1 of 79.
So I would think that some kind of social media, especially if he had a brother or the brother had one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like there's, I don't know. It's kind of like when we were talking, when you were doing the show last night, and I kept thinking, is there a scenario in the military where kind of like, I know you guys know what I'm trying to say. When you go undercover and they give you new names, I forgot what it's called all of a sudden.
That's what it's. It's just undercover.
What is it called? Come on, Tamara, you know what it is.
There really is
not
no
witness
name for
protection.
Witness protection program. Does the military have a program to where if they need to send you to do a mission or something of that type of scenario, can they come and pull you and basically snatch you up and say, hey,
yes,
you're leaving town. We need you to do something. You're going to walk away from everything. Because in the end, if he just gets placed in a new area, what difference does it make? Because evidently there's no way to trace him right now because you can't find no addresses or phone numbers.
That is something that can happen. It has happened, and we're going to leave it at that. Not for him, but just because things I know of, yes, that can happen.
So, which I guess...
To me, you would hear more along the lines with that with somebody that's like on a combat team, boots on the ground, doing something. With him being Air Force, unless he was involved in transporting a team to a location or something, he likely wouldn't have been boots on the ground in a mission like that.
No. There are a lot of jobs in the Air Force that are on ground or in the air.
But not combat, though, not going
Special
out to
forces,
take out a
there's
target.
Special Forces, if that's what he was. A confidential informant.
There we go.
Thank you, Mac. But yeah.
Now, who was Special Forces? Was this guy Special Forces or the brother Special Forces?
Brother, right? Alex, isn't that what you said about his brother?
I think that's what that article said.
Yeah.
And I sent you guys. You should be able to look at that screenshot, and you should be able to go find that on Facebook and go read all the comments. But definitely that Facebook's page, that person served with his brother. I mean, they made it very clear.
Right.
For sure.
No. Oh. There you go. Seriously?
I have to do this.
Yeah.
Later, but...
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it later, but yeah.
Well, it's clearly this isn't the end of this case with us.
No.
I mean, we will definitely be doing some more research into it. And just, I think that I can't believe that I didn't see anybody else in just the stuff that I was reading. Not one other person was like, hey, what's the deal with all these different locations? Why is there so many? What is the physical address where this guy lived? Yeah. He went missing from. What is the town where he physically lived? Not 2 towns over, 3 towns up, and 4 towns south. I mean, why? Why is there so many? And I guess in a way you could technically say, okay, well, yes, this person said, well, I haven't seen him since this date, and he hasn't. Well, how many people do we all know that we don't talk to or we don't see for months at a time?
Right.
Do we call? I mean, yes, I granted he was renting a trailer from this lady, and he basically didn't pay, and this is what happened. But I mean, it's just Why hasn't the police straightened that mess? To me, that's a mess. Why have they not straightened out the locations? Yes, this is where he lived in this town. The landlord said, "Hey, I haven't talked to this dude. He hasn't called me. He hasn't paid rent. I went to confront him. He's not there. I don't know if he moved. He left his stuff. I don't know if he just went to the grocery store when I came by. I know nothing, but he's not here." And then we have 3 months later, and he basically shows up clear across the bottom of the state at a beach
Campground, yeah. A
campground on the river. I mean, what? I mean, and did Byron say it or did Mac say it that okay, well the camera on the officer's chest
Byron.
would what's the proof? What's the date? What's the real information? I mean, that's what kills me is there's just when reporting agencies, and I guess I'm going to be a jerk about this and say do an absolute terrible job of reporting the facts, and that just kills me. That why is this? Why is that? Why is there 3 locations of where he went originally missing from? I mean,
see, so when you contact law enforcement on this, that's something they should be able to confirm with you is what each location is, the dates, and at least a specific timeline with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even going to stretch this out. We don't know how old his landlord was. But in today's age, in social media, I would think the landlord would be like, hey, this dude left. His crap is still here at my house, and he hasn't paid rent in 3 months. If you've seen him, tell him he needs to get a hold of me. Right. There's nothing. There's none of that. But that's not, I mean,
if the family not living in the state, maybe the landlord didn't have access or phone numbers or something to them.
But at this point, it's already stated that the brother already attempted to get his stuff from the landlord because that's where it said that the lady would not release it, blah, 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 blah. So...
see, that also raises the question, though, did she not release it because she's owed money? Or did she not release it because she doesn't know where he is or what's going on and could he be coming back and she don't want his stuff gone?
She's not releasing it because there could possibly be evidence towards...
something.
Yep.
Yeah.
That falls under the accusations, rumors, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, this could go in any direction. this whole case about Richard here. So.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, to rule anything out, and let's reference Randy Leach. We had the heartbreaking task of looking, was the family involved in Randy going missing, and was able to basically confirm that no, that was not it.
Right.
Not something you want to do, but even law enforcement, the first thing they do is look at the person closest to the missing person.
Yeah.
So every angle has to be looked at and cannot be ruled out until proven. And
Mac, I believe I agree with you, sir.
Yeah, with multiple tunnels.
Yeah.
Mac, we know there's rabbit holes in every yard.
And Mac, that's why we depended on people like you to help guide us through those rabbit holes.
Yeah. Well, I want to change subjects just for a second, and I do want to talk about Randy's case. Are we okay with that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I guess.
So
Absolutely.
I want to say something. I'm not trying to be disrespectful by any means, but I want to say something. So however someone takes it, that's up to them. So the other day, I got an alert on my phone of a notification of a comment that I made on one of the Randy Leach pages. And I was like, wait a second, I haven't made any comments in quite a while. For one, I got banned from a couple of them because of my thoughts and me having my rights that we all have, that we can voice our opinions on things. And needless to say, I was banned from a couple of the pages, which I'm okay with it. It is what it is. But this particular page, somebody had commented on something that I had wrote, and evidently I hadn't looked at it in a while, and it kind of had a few comments. So this is what I'm going to say. If anybody does anything, especially when it comes to Randy's case, there is so much stuff out there that anybody who wants to make a comment should really do all their research before they make some comments. It gets a little silly when you read on the different pages, different things, where you'll get someone that jumps in and the first thing they say is, well, did they check the property where he went missing from? Well, did they check the neighbor's property? Well, did the police check the nearest creek or pond? It's just the simple thought of people getting on there, and I'm not trying to say by any means is anybody wasting anybody's time by saying anything or doing anything. But it just seems silly, and I don't know. I think that people, like whenever I look at a case or I want to do something, I always go, and this is just me, but I always go and try to read. I look at stuff on social media. I'll go to YouTube. I'll go to TikTok, and I will try to do as much research as I can before I ever make a comment, because I don't want to feel like an idiot when the first person that responds says, do you seriously think after all these years they didn't check the property where the person went missing from? Do you think they didn't check the pond in the backyard? And I see this so much anymore. And I just wonder if it's just people who really just don't have kind of common sense, maybe, in a way. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not by any means. I just don't get why people will make such off-the-wall comments about things that would be the most logical common sense that would have been the first thing that happened. Has anybody looked for the car? I mean, it's those type of questions that people ask.
Maybe they're first timers to the case and they're not quite sure what has been done.
And I get it, and I really do, but it's like a year or two ago, no, it was about a year ago, there was a girl on YouTube who made a Randy video, and half of the stuff she posted was so wrong. I mean, it was his Camaro, was at a body shop, and he was driving his Mustang when he went missing. And, his age was wrong, and this was wrong, and the people that where he was at, it was wrong. And I messaged, I made a reply, and I said, you should really do your research before you try to make a video when everything is out there. You should do your research before you try to put information out there, because someone's going to look at your stuff as research. And now, by what you have posted, you have thrown a curveball to half the people out there that don't know this stuff, because now they're going to think by what you're saying is technically right. So, in my mind, just try to do your research before you throw out accusations and details and being specific when it's not. And just try to do this research, because for every person that makes a comment, there is a legitimate troll out there that is waiting to bust your butt and humiliate you.
Yeah.
I mean, I am one who was tried to be humiliated by someone else who does what we do, and it clearly backfired on them. And in the end, I was the one that got banned.
Yeah.
And, I was just being realistic. Like, this is realistically what you would have to do. So
you even showed the evidence of that too.
I did. And I did my research. I'm like, well, wait a minute here. This is what you would have to do. I mean, this is what they do when they have to build bridges and they have to dig out areas to pour concrete. This would be no different than you having to dig something up out of the bottom. You would have to do this, and you'd have to pump the water out, and so you didn't lose evidence, and I guess it bothers me when there's people out there that just, I don't know if they try to throw curveballs, which that could be legit, but it's just like, why don't these people try to do any research before they get on there and throw out questions of stuff that was logical, thing that should be known, I just don't get it. And I guess it just, the other day reading these comments, and these people were like, yeah, was the pond next door ever? No, was this ever done? And I'm just thinking, what in the world? People really think that all these years later, the property where he went, do you not think they didn't do? I mean, this would be like the first things, 9 times out of 10, when you go somewhere at a fast food place, you pay for your food before they give it to you. I mean, maybe I'm just overreacting. It just seems silly to me. This stuff still.
I mean, sometimes people could be new to the whole case, like I said earlier, and just don't know that we've, you know what I mean? Like,
now, we've talked about this quite a bit, Alex, and when it comes to the location the party took place on and the pond back there, the pond wasn't there in 88. One of those ponds wasn't, but that pond comes up a lot. So I did put it to the test and done a Google search on Randy Leach, and within the first 5 articles, it talked in depth about the party location and the ponds there having been searched. Law enforcement searched them, the family searched them, and that come up with just a Google search of Randy Leach missing.
Yeah. And then, there was, and I guess in the other one, it goes back to where people said, oh, well, the police never did nothing. The police didn't. Well, there's like 1,000 pages of police reports talking to the kids at the school, to the lunch people, to the teachers, to people in town, you name it. I'm sure they probably talked to the dirt clods on the side of the gravel road. And it kills me when, I guess you could look at it this way. Well, what's your interpretation of what they should have been doing and what they didn't do?
And with that, most people, and I find myself doing this pretty regular, Randy went missing in 1988. So it is very easy to have the mindset that they had the same technology and resources then that we have today. And what they had then was nowhere near close. And I do that myself in cases, and that's easy to do. But at the same time, and we try to answer every question that comes in on any cases. And there's some questions you see over and over again that I don't know how to say it nicely, but it's very simple to find. It's some of the first articles that pop up.
Yeah.
And when you talk about law enforcement and the allegations they did nothing, the files you're talking about, if I pulled them out and stood them here, you're going to have about a 2-foot stack of papers that's interviews, it's polygraphs, it's searches that they've done. They have done a lot on that case through the years.
Yeah.
Now, it's easy to get frustrated because there's still no answers after all of that work. But at the same time, you can't take away the work that they put into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. And I guess I do get frustrated with it. I get frustrated, I guess, in my mind over, I guess, I don't know. I don't know if it's trying to say people what they bring to the table when they want to be a part of something. Because it's like, I guess in my mind, we're trying to be at the end of the alphabet and they're back at A and B. And it's like, no, we were at A and B 30 years ago. We're back here. We're trying to be on the downhill slide of trying to find answers and bringing him home. And, people are just, I don't know. It caught me so off guard the other day. And I'm like, what in the world? What, do you really not think they didn't check the property? That's a new one. Let's go, let's call the police and let's have them go check it, So I don't know. But I see that. I see that quite often with some of the cases that are kind of a higher profile case, like Randy's, just because the amount of, his case, it's just not, well, it could have been that. No, it's like 50 different people have thrown out there that this is what could have happened. This could have happened. Well, we seen him here. We seen that. We heard this has happened. There's only one, but there's got to be a few things that to narrow it down from what the facts show, what makes the most logical sense. And kind of back to our missing veterans case. He's clear over here on this side of the state, but we've got 3 different locations where he possibly went missing from. But then he was seen all the way down here at the bottom southwest corner. And I'll be honest, that one picture, the flyer that I sent with him where he's smiling and happy, that doesn't look like the same guy to the other guy. And if someone would have said, oh, well, this is who I think it is, I'd have been like, no, that don't look like that guy. Sorry. To me, he doesn't. It doesn't look like the same guy at all. So that just kind of blows my mind that,
See, and backing up for a minute, something else that come to mind when you were talking, I don't know how many times, especially on Facebook, I have seen somebody in a group, and it's multiple people, that will say they know exactly what happened in a particular case. They know who was involved. They have the evidence to prove it. And yet it never goes beyond their Facebook page. They don't take it to law enforcement. And then a month, 2 months down the road, the tune completely changes. Oh, that's not it. That was never it. And they're on to something else as knowing for a fact this is what happened.
Yeah.
That probably irritates me the most because it's simply somebody wanting their 2 minutes of fame and to be the person to know it all. And it jeopardizes and hinders these missing persons cases so bad because they pull so much attention to what they're saying in a way of what could actually have happened.
Could it be that they're just scared?
The ones I've seen, no, because they don't just do it on one particular case. They've done it in others. And every time, regardless if you mention it to them, they're the victim and you're just shaming them and you don't care about the case because you don't agree. Multiple times. And if you do have evidence you believe will solve a case, get that to law enforcement. If you don't, withholding evidence from law enforcement is real. It is a crime. And if they find out you had evidence you didn't turn over to them, they will charge you. So if you have that evidence, get it to law enforcement, regardless of case.
Yeah.
I shudder anytime I see on social media somebody saying, I've got evidence to prove this, and never release that information other than I've got it. Because if law enforcement use that to go see what they have and the person's already been found and what they had was correct, they legally withheld evidence from law enforcement.
Yeah. Yep.
I know there are some cases we have that I believe 100% there is corruption involved, but I also believe that the majority of law enforcement across the country are good, honest people. They don't take that job for the pay. They don't take it for the pat on the back or the glory, obviously. They're there to make a difference. And I believe that is the majority of them across the country. I know my family on my mom's side has several that are law enforcement. And I know for a fact they're doing everything they can to make their communities safer for everybody there. And I think that's the majority of them.
Yeah. I agree.
And Leavenworth County is the sheriff's department. In Randy's case, we live here in Leavenworth. I don't have a single complaint about our sheriff's department. I think they do a really good job with what they have. Leavenworth City Police is the same way. They get a lot of bad talk about them because drugs seem to be growing here. Gunshots you hear pretty regular now. And everybody wants to blame the police department. We have one of the most under budgeted police departments in the nation. And I think they're doing an incredible job with what they have. It's not always law enforcement's fault.
Yeah. I say, because most times that I would say more times than not, when I talk with you, I always hear the cop cars or the fire trucks go by.
Yeah.
And what's funny is my I own when I was living over there, I was so to it that I didn't hear it, and it was kind of crazy. And you go back and forth to work house. It's like as soon as I got over there, I was hearing sirens, and I would say something to the neighbors, and they're like, "Nothing's changed. You've just gotten so used to not being over here, you just don't hear it." And I guess that's why I pick it up when I talk to you, at your place, because where I live now, I mean, let's be honest, in the last month, I think the cop cars have been by once with their sirens going to some, and I think the ambulance or fire truck went by one time down the county road, and that was it. I think it's been a year since we've had a funeral procession go by up to the cemetery. So it's just funny how you notice things or you hear things, and just
when I lived down in Lebanon, Missouri, I lived about 20 minutes from town, just back in the sticks. If we ever heard a siren, it was either because an ambulance was coming to get Dad with his medical issues, or my cousin is married to a deputy there who lived right there. And he'd flash them on when he'd come home, just to basically say, honey, I'm home. That was the only time we heard a siren. And when I moved up here, my first night, I thought I was in a war zone with all the sirens going off.
Yeah.
And my buddy Scott, he's like, no, this is normal. It's Leavenworth. I'm like, man, this is different.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And Byron, I agree. Byron, when it comes to corruption and stuff like that, he said it becomes beyond the law enforcement officer is where the issue is. I agree with that. A law enforcement officer, I don't see just taking the job for the pay, because they don't get paid a lot.
No.
They don't get any good recognition unless it's coming internally, and they're the ones who is blamed for everything. People will go out and break the law. They'll get caught. Law enforcement will give them a ticket, give them a summons, arrest them, whatever is appropriate. And then when that person they're on social media blasting that officer for charging them. If you hadn't have broken the law to start with, there wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah.
Funny how that works.
Man.
Boy, we shotgunned everywhere tonight.
Yeah. I'm glad we did mention more about Richard, because, obviously Alex found more information and a lot of information I've got to look up and do. So thank you, Alex, for doing that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, we were all over the place. So.
And this is what teamwork is about.
That's right.
That's right.
I think it was Tamara once told me there's no I in team.
Right, Tamara? Right.
That's what I like about this team is everybody works together and same goal, same mind of let's do what we can to bring the missing people home.
Yep.
So.
It's his case definitely needs to be really looked at, and I'm pretty sure that let me do this real quick. I'll let somebody else talk for a second.
Okay, Byron, sometime when you've got free time, would it be okay if we contacted you to talk about this missing veterans case and get your mindset on that? And he is still missing. I haven't looked at that case for a little while now. This is one we definitely want to jump back into pretty hard. I believe this gentleman can be found.
What are you missing out of?
Kansas. Let me pull that up real quick. Because I remember Byron, this is one of the first comments basically he made was asking about this case. And I don't think he's too far away from us. Leawood, Kansas, missing since June 7th of 2016.
Yeah, he's not very far from us.
Who is this now?
Jay Fletcher.
Yep, Leawood.
And I appreciate that, Byron. We'll definitely do that.
So I kind of figured.
You're really good, dude.
We're just talking crap on you.
Not on Alex.
He's focused.
What's the beach play Shady Beach called again? What was its name?
Shady Beach Campground.
Shady Beach Campground.
If I have any Golden Girls fans, I almost said Shady Pines. I know Tamara got it.
So we will be 53 miles away from Shady Beach.
Oh, wow. So with what you're talking about, depending on time frame that day, we may have time to swing by there on our way to the other one.
It's south of the general area where we will be. So we would have to go south another hour, but it's basically within the vicinity.
And from there, we'd probably be able to get over to 44 and take that across to the other location.
44 is going to be about, I don't know, 50 miles away.
Oh, man. Okay, so there should be another road down there that we could cut across.
Yeah.
But depending on that area, it could take you a long ways out of the way, too.
I mean, we are there.
We're gonna have to look into that and see if we can find a way through there.
Yeah.
That could get us where we need to go after that.
I just sent it.
We are down to about 7 minutes before it kicks us off of here.
All right. Well, I think we had a good night tonight. I think we got a lot of stuff discussed. I presume we will go live this weekend with some updates.
We will. Those lives will likely be on the road, but we will be doing some lives this weekend. This is the weekend that we have at least 2 searches now, potentially 3 cases we're doing searches on that we're traveling out for. So it's looking late Sunday night by the time we get home, well after the live feed time. So we will go live while we're on the road with you guys and get you guys updates to what's taking place. We do get to film our search efforts this weekend, and we'll get those out to you guys as soon as we can. And it's funny, the first case we can't really talk about right now till the search is done, but we do get to release that footage. The second case we can talk about right now, but depending on what we're seeing on the ground will depend if we can release that then or if we need to wait until the bigger operation of the search takes place before releasing that. But we'll definitely keep you guys up to date. Just kind of a weird little flip-flop there.
Yeah.
But I will say this, one of those two cases, I really believe we're going to find when we're down there. The other one, I don't believe we're going to find the missing person this time, but we have to be boots on the ground, get our eyes on this, get our measurements, different things. And that'll all make more sense when we are able to release that video, because we may get there and see that it will be okay to go ahead and release that out. But we'll definitely keep you guys up to date on what's going on. If anything is found, we'll definitely jump on and let you know. Want to keep you up to date with that as well. But going to be a very long, tiring weekend.
A lot of driving.
And now if we do get to go down to this case too, that adds a lot to it, but it may be possible. So we will see how that goes and keep you guys updated on that as well.
Yeah.
There will be a video coming out this week. I had several things on here I was going to do updates on, and this turning the way that it did, which is just incredible. Yeah. This stuff can wait. I will get this out to you guys in the next day or two and get those updates to you. Obviously, anytime that it's a missing persons case related, that's going to take priority. And I think it was really good tonight.
Yeah. Thank you guys for all your help with this case. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Awesome.
And one of these nights, we're going to have a live feed, and I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to mute Alex's mic, and we're going to turn it over to Tamara.
Yep.
Oh no.
It's like, oh, I've got something planned for that night.
Oh, she's going to send bad vibes my way now.
Right.
No, I would never do that. As long as I can do dowsing, then I'll be okay.
Right.
Hey, we do need to do another video or live with that.
Okay.
Several cases I think that could be really helpful for.
Yeah.
So we get back from the searches this weekend, we may get with you about doing another one of those. The one you did on Summer Wells is just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, very informative. I mean, it was pretty incredible to see you do your work.
Yep.
See the answers, the stuff. I mean, it was definitely a learning experience. You know, it was definitely a way of looking at things a different way, and I appreciate what you do. I find it very interesting, and able to learn from it. And whenever you want to do it again, I am down for it for sure.
Okay. No, thank you very much. I appreciate it all. I never know if what I'm getting is right or not, but yeah, it was very interesting. It's the first time I've done it that way, especially with, in a live situation. So it's because the stress can affect it a little bit, but I think I did a little bit of stress at the beginning, and then it was okay. So
from our perspective, watching you done excellent.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So guys, we're down to about 40 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and close this out for tonight. Thank you all for joining us on here, and we will see you guys down the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.